wrestling fans, and welcome to another edition of WFWA Main Event Wrestling. Joe Aiello here in the Control Center, and if you're watching from anywhere across Canada or parts of the United States, we've got an action-packed hour coming up for you, including today's main event tag team action featuring Sudden Impact, Chris Jericho and Lance Storm. A very exciting tag team coming up in today's main event. As well, we'll have the seasoned veteran Bulldog Bob Brown, not donning the tights but the suit, another edition of the Doghouse. This time out, his guest, an up-and-coming young star from Chicago, Illinois, Stan Saxon. We'll be joining him a little bit later on. We'll also see Saxon in singles competition. We're going to take a look at a man from Vancouver, British Columbia, just returning home from Mexico. I'm talking about the Bullet, Mike Lazansky, in today's feature match. We'll also have a look at the former Canadian heavyweight champion, The Natural. And coming up in today's opening match, we're going to take a look at Tomahawk Gene Swan. All these great stars, plus much, much more, all coming up right after this. His late father, Tomahawk Bruce Swan, passed away a few years ago. The tradition continues in the Swan family. Here he is, the son of Bruce Swan. I'm talking about Tomahawk Gene Swan in singles action right here on WFWA Main Event Wrestling.
Gene Swan!
We're off and running with more rough and tumble wrestling action. WFWA Main Event Wrestling from coast to coast and border to border. The Major League of Canadian Wrestling. Joe Aiello here with no stranger to the Mad World, Vic Bockwinkel and luscious Lenny St. Clair going to work on the youngster Tomahawk Gene Swan while he was taken off the rope.
A lot of people will say, well, you know, should the referee ring the bell under the circumstances where one man jumps the bell and impacts the other? And again, both wrestlers know very, very much what it is they're getting in there to do. And that each person is trying to, how would we say, convince the whole world how great he is, trying to their very best to demonstrate their ability. And they all know that this is not really a polite game. When you pick up another human body and you slam it to the mat, this is not chess, this is not Scrabble, this is not cricket. And so that even though there's a lot of times somebody say, boy, the referee's not calling these shots the way they should be, that latitude has been given to the referee very, very much by the Wrestling Association as well as the wrestlers.
Well, you know, I was just thinking about this for a second there, like luscious Lenny St. Clair, nice take over there.
Beautiful.
On little,
suplex,
that's right, on little Tomahawk Gene Swan. And the thing is, St. Clair, the veteran out of the two in there right now, kind of an alternative style to dressing in the world of professional wrestling. But like you said, this isn't a fashion show. It's not the politest way to meet people.
And one has got to understand something. It's one of the most unique places in the world, where it is, if you have the physical credentials, you are invited in to be as off the wall, as colorful, as absurd as you want. You can say what you want as long as you stay within the bounds of the Communication Commission. But the point is, that's what makes it so very exciting, because you do have these colorful personalities who come into this sport, who have those physical credentials, and that's what one of the attractions and the appeal is. People are attracted to doing these things because this is what so many of them would love to do or love to have, that physical ability as well as that colorfulness that all these personalities do have.
And that's exactly it, and that's where the entertainment value comes into any professional sport, including wrestling. I mean, you've got it with the Lemieux and the Gretzkys in hockey. Even the Brian Bosworths at one time, or Lyle Alzado's, one legend that just passed away recently in football, the colorful characters. And you've got them in the world of professional wrestling. St. Clair could become one of those big colorful stars. And Swan might have him here with a flying body, only a 2 count though. And Nick, you know, one thing that I haven't seen a lot of in the world of wrestling lately have been more scientific type matches. You don't see a lot of those anymore in the game. I remember one time in Winnipeg witnessing a match with yourself and Ric Flair, a 45-minute draw. Those kind of matches don't happen. Oh! He might have got him there.
We talk about physical credentials, and I had to let out a little holler there as you were talking, only because he executed that savate kick right underneath the chin to the throat with just superb excellence. I mean, he was dead on. It's not an easy maneuver to make, and I definitely feel he should be given full credit for it. That's why I yelled.
Execution, he had perfectly, but Swan now learning for the kids at home how to count up to 10, and I'll tell you right now, St. Clair doesn't know whether he's coming or going.
No, he does not.
Swan, though, is taking a little bit too much time now. This is where the rookie mistakes come in. He should have been on top of his man. What kind of advice do you have for an up-and-coming star like Swan when this kind of thing happens? I mean, I don't understand it. What kind of hesitation factors are involved here?
It's a confidence factor. And basically the confidence factor is, can I get right back in there before this guy catches me with one as I go in? But the more you procrastinate, the more time you give him. So that what I want to say to the guy is, go. Once you got something, go. Sure, you're liable to get stopped, and sure he's liable to catch a shot on you, but statistically the odds are, if you look at the number of people who procrastinate, as he just did there, the number of times that the procrastinator is successful are far smaller than the non-procrastinator.
And in this case, like the odds should show, that would cost a guy like Swan. Beautiful drop kick there by St. Clair.
I've seen St. Clair execute 2 or 3 moves as superbly and as professionally as the very best in the sport.
And that's the thing. I mean, for some of these young men, this is the way to make it or break it in professional wrestling, to get viewed on television or through tours by different promotions. St. Clair might have caught him off guard. Oh, a bulldog from that second rope. Very impressive. There's another one of those maneuvers.
He's procrastinating here. He executes moves extremely well. Too many people, and this is a mistake that was a lot of the young guys, they want to do these high-profile moves. Nothing wrong with that. But damn, you're going to have to do them faster than he's doing them. Now, he did get that great bulldog on him, and if he pulls this off successfully, that's fine.
Oh! He turned it over. Swan might have wrapped him up. He did. I think he got him.
It's something that happens all the time. You go to make a high-profile move, you do it with excellence, and his own momentum carried him over, and while he was stumbling out, trying to get away, it was a simple down 3 count, and it's a shame because I guess I want to say, I think on the quality of the moves that St. Clair was making, it should have been his.
And no one could say it better than my colleague this evening, and Nick Bockwinkel. Ladies and gentlemen, hold on to your seats. We're coming right back.
Your winner, Little Tomahawk, Gene Swan.
All right, wrestling fans, you just witnessed Tomahawk Gene Swan. Very impressive victory. Another step up the ladder here in the WFWA for that young man. Coming up, plenty of great rough and tumble wrestling action. Right now, let's take a look at what's coming up for the WFWA On Tour. The WFWA On Tour, Monday night, March the 23rd, 7:30 start time. Already signed 6-man elimination tag team for the Peguis Reserve at the Peguis Hall. Also signed 13-man battle royal, $1,000 to the winner, and the winner to meet new champion Champagne Jerry Morrow on an upcoming card. On Saturday, March the 28th, the stars of the WFWA visit the Pine Creek Inn, all part of Bar Wars 1992. On Saturday night, March the 28th, 9 o'clock start time, a return engagement, Grand Marais, Manitoba, at Mike Mercury's Bar. And on Friday, April the 3rd, 7 o'clock start time, the stars of the WFWA hit the Sinclair Park Community Club. Already signed Bulldog Bob Brown, The Natural, Bobby J, Chi Cruz, plus many other top stars, a 12-man battle royal. On Saturday, April the 4th, Rennie, Manitoba, the Rennie Hotel, 9 o'clock start time, all part of Bar Wars 1992. And don't forget, coming up in the month of April, already signed, the WFWA On Tour in Killarney, Manitoba, Morton, Burton, Neepawa, as well. A big show coming to Dauphin, Steinbach, and the Long Plain Reserve. It's the WFWA On Tour. Don't you dare miss all the great action. right, wrestling fans, we've got plenty of great action still to come. Sudden impact in today's main event. Don't go anywhere. The controversial Bulldog Bob Brown will be coming up in today's Doghouse featuring Stan Saxon, the native son of Chicago, Illinois. Right now, we're going to take a look at the former Canadian heavyweight champion, a man that weighs in at about 220 pounds, the Natural from Charlotte, North Carolina. Here is the arrogant one himself, right here on WFWA Main Event Wrestling.
Heavyweight champion, the Natural.
You just heard the ring introduction, and that man doesn't need one, but he is the former Canadian heavyweight champion, the Natural. Showing the garbs reminds me a lot of, well, the world heavyweight champion in Ric Flair. The man likes his style, he likes his suits, he likes his money, he likes his women. He's no stranger to danger, if you will, Nick, but he's got his hands full with the wily veteran, the French Mad Dog.
The French Mad Dog is someone who, on occasion, I have had to step into the ring with, and you can look at this man, and you can see a lot of hard miles, and he's been ridden hard and put away wet. I'd have to say that about the French Mad Dog.
Well, you know, a lot of people wonder that gray hair setting in, and we're not talking about on the top of his head, I'll guarantee you that. But hey, the man's been wrestling for over 25 years and still victorious in a lot of his matches. Always 110%. You can't take that away from him.
Even though some of these people don't have the greatest track record, they're dangerous. And if any time in your life, if the Natural starts to think, oh, this guy's got gray hair on the chest, I'm just going to kick his fanny, there you could be in for a rude awakening if he doesn't play his cards close to the chest.
Well, especially with those cameras rolling, you have to be very careful. There's promoters all over the country, for that matter, North America, that view these tapes. Believe you me, ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't too long ago that the Natural is actually trying to schedule himself for some upcoming cards in Japan, which is very impressive for a young man.
I do see tremendous similarity of the Ric Flair, cross between Ric Flair and Randy Macho Man Savage in the Natural.
And that's only going to be a positive in that man's career, because he's molding himself after two great athletes. Former Canadian heavyweight champion, the Natural. The Natch is on the back of his trunks. Battling it out with the French Mad Dog, 222 pounds, now from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Formerly from Montreal, Quebec, and a distinct relative, my understanding, of none other than Maurice Mad Dog Vachon, a good friend of yours.
Well, at times he was a good friend of mine. At other times he was not a good friend of mine.
A bitter enemy.
But one thing I would have to say, he always had my professional respect. That's the one thing about any of the Mad Dog group.
The Natural now taking on the French Mad Dog with a big forearm to the back of the neck. The Natural's got to be weighing in at close to 213 pounds now, maybe a light heavyweight in some categories, I guess, depending on where you're wrestling. But he's put together, works out every day, does aerobics, believe it or not, Nick. I don't know if that's a big prerequisite in a lot of men's training, but he might be one of the first.
Well, one of the things I can definitely say, it doesn't look like he's on steroids. One of the things we're finding out in the athletic world today, and it was one of the things that I did successfully for years, and that was high repetition type workout. The days of the guys with a lot of the big muscles, they're good, they're powerful, and they're strong. But do they have the staying power of the guy who does a lot of the heavy and high cardiovascular?
And that will be seen in the next few years in this professional sport. Will it be the weightlifter against more or less the more athletic type, the more agile type? And holy cow, the dog's on fire.
He's got to move in. He's got his chance right now. He's procrastinating too long.
Like driving a car, if you wait too long to put on the brakes, it's going to cost you, and that's what happened with the dog, but not as bad as it could have. Nice looking armbar there.
The only thing here is I thought that if he'd have moved in a little faster, he could have been a little more devastating, and then could have maybe even moved for a kill. The dog's instincts told him, no, I didn't get it done. I maybe procrastinated too long. I better take a hold and regroup. And that's what he did. but at the same time, that gave the Natural a lot of advantage time.
What a clothesline there for the former champ. Now he's wasting a little bit of time here, going for the pin. This is not going to happen like this, not even hooking a leg. Well, now he's trying to, but the dog's been around too long to be taken out by just one clothesline.
That's true. That body's been beat on a lot worse than the Natural's beating on it right now, so it's going to take a sharp, devastating blow to really put him down.
The Natural, though, now working over that top rope. And now he is setting him up for something. A little added leverage as he pounds down on the head over the rope. The dog's head is starting to look like a pomegranate. It's turning nice and red there. Could be a lack of oxygen to the brain.
Could be a lack of oxygen or just a lot of blood flow. You know, that's one of the things that the body does do. And that it pumps that blood all over. It's a tremendous adrenaline rush that goes through the human body when you're in the ring. Nothing makes you more aware of how alive you are than to get kicked in the ear, stomped on, slapped, hit with a forearm or body slam. Believe me, you know you're alive, even though it's a strange, painful way of finding out.
Well, you know, you take a look at the Natural. I'm very impressed with his ring savvy here in this match. He's working that upper body part of the dog, trying to, I guess, let's say, take away his equilibrium, and now working over that headlock, the chin lock, and he's worked over that head for the last few minutes.
You knock the air out of a man's lungs often enough. It doesn't matter. That's why sometimes a simple tackle, one tackle on a football field will do the same thing. And that's what I do see about the Natural. He has consistently been working on the upper part of the body, realizing maybe that this is either the weak spot or the strong spot of the Mad Dog. If he puts him down, then he's staying on it. He's staying on it. He's consistent, and this I like about the Natural.
You know, from a couple of weeks back when it was your first chance to see this young man, he's not as cocky or maybe cutesy, if you will. The attitude he seems to be more focused in this match. I think he's got one thing on his mind, that's the title.
Well, not only that, what I think also is he realizes he's in with a veteran, and he can see that he's having a battle with the veteran's doing to him right now. A couple of weeks ago, he had somebody that didn't have that much experience, and he may have daydreamed a little more. If he's daydreaming right now, it's because the Mad Dog's putting the dreams in there.
Rick, maybe you can tell me now, a man's taking a beating for a while in a match. Is it something like a punch or maybe some kind of maneuver that really wakes a man up in there? Like the dog has just seemed to wake up. Look at this now. He's giving him a one-way ticket across the ring there. Air Natural, not the way he wanted to leave that top rope. Irish whip off. Now the dog landing that elbow just under the chin. That could knock a man out. The Natural still with a little bit left. The dog, though, big power or body slam. And another one. The dog very stocky. Oh, he telegraphed that one.
He sure did. Actually, I'm surprised that he almost went for it.
Oh, this one's all over. The veteran making the mistake. Who thought it would happen, but it did. And the Natural paying enough attention to take advantage.
The winner of the match, the Natural.
The Natural with the victory, even though he had his hands full with the seasoned veteran, the French Mad Dog, right here on WFWA Main Event Wrestling. Fans, don't forget, plenty of great action still to come. If you get a chance to see the WFWA on tour, make sure you take advantage of that opportunity. The stars of the WFWA on tour throughout the month of March and April, and here's what's coming up. The WFWA on tour Monday night, March the 23rd, 7:30 start time. Already signed 6-man elimination tag team for the Peguis Reserve at the Peguis Hall. Also signed 13-man battle royal, $1,000 to the winner, and the winner to meet new champion Champagne Jerry Morrow on an upcoming card. On Saturday, March the 28th, the stars of the WFWA visit the Pine Creek Inn, all part of Bar Wars 1992. On Saturday night, March the 28th, 9 o'clock. o'clock start time, a return engagement, Grand Marais, Manitoba, at Mike Mercury's Bar. And on Friday, April the 3rd, 7 o'clock start time, the stars of the WFWA hit the Sinclair Park Community Club. Already signed Bulldog Bob Brown, The Natural, Bobby J, Chi Cruz, plus many other top stars, a 12-man battle royal. On Saturday, April the 4th, Rennie, Manitoba, the Rennie Hotel, 9 o'clock start time, all part of Bar Wars 1992. And don't forget, coming up in the month of April, already signed, the WFWA on tour in Killarney, Manitoba, Morton, Burton, Neepawa, as well. A big show coming to Dauphin, Steinbach, and the Long Plain Reserve. It's the WFWA on tour. Don't you dare miss all the great action. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to WFWA Main Event Wrestling. Joe Aiello here with you. And right now, it's time to take another visit down to the doghouse with a man that's always got something to say, whether you like him or not. He is controversial, and he's here on WFWA Main Event Wrestling. It's the Bulldog with the doghouse and his featured guest from Chicago, Illinois, Stan Saxon.
Hello, wrestling fans. Once again, this is the Doghouse. And, of course, it's yours truly, Bulldog Bob Brown. And like I said, week after week, I'm going to have different guests. And today, I got a dandy. You know, we talked to Tony Candela, we talked to The Natural in the last 2 weeks. But today is a good day for me because I'm going to talk to a bright young individual. You know, we've been getting a lot of mail, especially one from Dorothy Miller from St. John's, Newfoundland, wanting to know all about the wrestling career of Stan Saxton. Well, let's not take anything away right now. Let's bring the man in and let's find out just exactly what Stan the man is up to. Stan, it's a pleasure you being here today. It's a pleasure for you to be on my show, and I'm sure we got a lot of things to talk about.
Well, thank you very much, Bob, and it is indeed a pleasure for me, Stan Saxon, to be on the Doghouse. You know, this is only the 3rd episode of the Doghouse, and I must admit, I am probably your best guest. And today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the dirt in the WFWA. I'm talking about guys like Gene Swan, about Easy Rider, the French Mad Dog, and a few others. You see, all of them are very fine athletes, but the thing they lack, they indeed lack, is killer instinct. And that is something, Bob, that you know I have a lot of. And I show it each and every time I step into that ring, and I always come out victorious, and I hope all you people understand that.
Well, you know, the last 2 years, you know, I've watched you very, very closely. And I've watched you come by, and I'm going to tell you, in 2 years' time, you have risen right to the top of professional wrestling. At this present moment now, what are your goals?
Well, my goals are pretty well what I'm doing right now. Keeping on busting heads and breaking legs. And I'll tell you right now, you're right when you said I started at the bottom and I've moved up to the top. And I'm telling you right now, that Canadian title looks very nice to me right now. And one day, I don't care if it's Jerry Morrow, he's a fine athlete, but if he's the champion at the time when it's my turn for a shot, I'll take him down.
Okay, now who do you contribute all your success to in the last 2 years? I know you had to take a few pointers from this guy and that guy, but who's been your biggest help?
Well, Bob, I think you'd know that would probably be yourself, because we've tagged up many times recently, and most of the time we've been victorious. But I have taken a lot of advice from a lot of good veterans in the sport. But I have taken some bad advice, so I've sifted through the bad advice, taken the good advice. Thus, I'm rising to the top of the ladder, and nowhere now do you see me at the bottom.
Well, you know, Stan Saxton and The Natural have been tag team partners. Stan Saxton and yours truly, Bulldog Bob Brown, has been tag team partners. And every time he's touched something, it has turned to gold. This is a rising star, wrestling fans. And once again, I had the opportunity of getting it to you first class on the Doghouse. We'll see you next week.
We just heard from Stan Saxon from Chicago, Illinois, a big man that weighs in at about 250 pounds. A name to be reckoned with right here on WFWA Main Event Wrestling. Next week, a special treat for all you great wrestling fans on the Doghouse. A name that definitely has to be reckoned with, and he's not even a friend of the Bulldog. That's all I'm going to tell you. He'll be here next week. Right now, let's take a look at the native from Chicago, Stan Saxon. He's trying to make a name for himself right here in the territory. Let's take a look now. Saxon in singles action right here on WFWA Main Event Wrestling. Nick, we're scheduled for one fall or 15-minute time limit in this one. His opponent, Eric Fries. Don't know too much about the young man from Calgary, Alberta, but Saxon, I'll tell you one thing. You can't take that big man too lightly. He's almost, I don't know who trained him, but he comes from the old school. He's very methodical in there with his legs, and he likes to work the arms and the head a lot, and sometimes the leg, but basically the arm and the head.
Saxon seems like somebody that I get the feeling, you know, if you whipped him a little, that would just please him.
Well, he's got a lot of praise for himself, as we're finding out. But Eric Fries has something to say about that. Working over the leg of Stan Saxon, and I guess he's got to try and size down a man, get him down to the mat. That's the only way to work the big man.
Well, you're right there. And Fries could have been a lot better off had he left Saxon on his stomach, working on his leg from the back side. Because as soon as he turned him over, he created the situation that he did for him. Beautiful move. Again, take advantage of a hold here. He could bring up the other leg and really have him locked in. But for some reason or another, he's got it turned around in his mind. Somebody's convinced him that this is the better way to go. He could go into a step over toe hold at this point also, but that gets him close in proximity to Saxon, and Saxon could easily then reach up. What's good about what Fries has got now, he's keeping himself away from the reach of Saxon.
Now, he's applying a lot of pressure there, trying to twist the ankle, of course, but I guess the hamstring is where you're going to really feel the effects of that one, maybe in the side of the knee as well, in those ligaments. But that right foot still seems to be pretty good. And he just booted Eric Fries. It looked like he was going for the field goal.
Fries didn't do as much damage to him as I guess we thought he did, or that he had hoped that he had done. Of course, the thing is, with a big man like Saxon, as you said, it's like an elephant. If you've got him laying down, he can't trample you to death. And that's the thing that I guess he was trying to do originally with Saxon. It'd be better off if he could get him down and immobilize him.
Well, Saxon's not going to win any friends with the way his stylings are towards wrestling. He moves very slow in there, except he can really surprise you on occasion, Nick.
Yes.
He comes back with some agile moves that I would never expect out of the big man, and I honestly think that's going to carry him a long way in the WFWA and other parts of the country.
No, you're correct there. That's the thing that has made Saxon as successful as he's been. He's got the weight, he's got the power, but on occasion, he will make those fast, sharp, crisp moves that people much smaller than him are the ones that you think of making them.
What's the best kind of advice a veteran like yourself could give to a man like Saxon?
Well, I'd have to say continue your style, but at the same time, learn and focus on how many real sharp, surprising moves you could make, because your opponents won't expect them out of you, and so that you will actually surprise the HELL out of them when you make them on them, because they're not set up for it mentally.
Well, there he goes. He's not moving very fast in there, Saxon, but he's doing what he... Oh, that was a high back body drop, and you can see, I don't even have to tell you where the pain is being felt. You can just see by looking at the anguish on Eric Fries' face that he came down with a lot of impact.
Let me tell you, one time Leo Jonathan body slammed me all the way across the ring. And I wondered how long I was going to stay up there. Oh, nice something quick. Get both legs. He didn't get both legs over. If he'd gotten both legs over, oh,
there's one of those high-impact
exactly.
quick moves. Like a cat for a big man at 265. And you see, that's what I mean about a guy like Saxon. He's not going to surprise you very often, but when he does, it's usually very costly.
One would be reminded of former Jerry Blackwell, 425 pounds, who could stand right in front of you, look like a giant watermelon, and drop kick you right in the head.
And I do recall that happening on more than one occasion to a few people. And they're into the same stylings, the black boots and the black tights, maybe a little bit less, well, I guess a little bit less in the weight division.
Yes.
Over 100 pounds anyway. But Saxon, one move that I see the man deliver on a lot of occasions is from that top rope. One thing I've never seen Blackwell get a pass, but that weight difference will help that out. But Saxon, he's got that big, thick body, especially the chest. It's unbelievable. I don't know if you can see it as good on your television set, but he's got a thick chest.
Freeze threw a good drop kick, but he had to extend himself. He didn't get as much impact. Whoa! Freeze has got a spot here. He should keep going. He needs to keep going.
Big backbreaker there.
Yes, it is. You see, if he had hooked that leg solidly, but he took it in a little bit of a sloppy fashion. He didn't grab a hold of it real positively.
An Irish whip now off the ropes, and a big boot to the stomach. It looked like to me picking him up. Now I think he's going for a big suplex here, Nick. He might have him there. I think that took all the steam out of it. Oh, he picked him up. Nick, this young man does this time after time after time, and it's yet to affect his one-loss record, but one of these days it's going to happen.
You are... Oh! Now, there was a shade of old Larry the Axe Henning, and that was a big axe, and that did put the man down.
If you live in the Manitoba area, you can pick up your Winnipeg Sun newspaper once a week and read my article giving you the news of what's happening in the world of professional wrestling. You might remember back 2 weeks ago, a little feature on the Bullet, Mike Lazansky. He is back from Mexico, and he is here in the WFWA. We're going to take a look back now at a match that took place 2 years ago with the Bullet in singles action. He will be returning here to the territory, and when you see his name on the marquee, make sure you get your tickets early. Here he is, Mike Lazansky, right here on national television, only on WFWA Main Event Wrestling. Well, Johnny Starr has got him in a sleeper. Mike Lazansky, this one could be all over if Starr can keep that pressure applied. But Lazansky whipping him into that turnbuckle with all his strength, and Starr breaks the hold. How about we say a big hello to all our native fans across Canada, northern Manitoba, throughout Saskatchewan, Ontario, from coast to coast. You know what? I've got to tell you a bit of a story here, Bob, up in God's Lake Narrow, some of the greatest people. We were up there last summer. They took us on a fishing trip. They treat us with a lot of class up there, and they are some of the classiest people in all of Canada.
They actually have fish up there?
Whatever, Bob, whatever you want to say about those people, keep to yourself, because I'll defend them 110% myself, because I tell you, there are some great people up there in northern Canada, and I'm going to look forward to seeing them in weeks to come, all right?
Is it? Listen, they tell me, have they got roads up there yet, or they still got the swampland?
Well, we will find out shortly, won't we, Bob? Come on, get with it. You're more educated than that, asking stupid questions like that. If you're trying to... Oh, big! I tell you, that was a beautiful drop kick, Bob. One of the best I've ever seen in this business.
Well, I'll tell you, it's not one of the real best, you know, because you haven't been around to see some great drop kicks, but it was a good drop kick.
I tell you, that one's right up there with Jumpin' Jim Brunzell. The man used to kick you like a mule when you get up there, and this Johnny Starr's impressing me this week.
Well, both of them impressed me, I'll tell you. They're both going out, they're giving everybody everything that they wanted to see. This is a great wrestling match, Joe.
You better believe it is one of the best I've seen in weeks. These two light heavyweights, nice hip toss there by Starr. These two men have been evenly matched right from the opening. Lazansky grabbing at his head. I'm telling you, that drop kick has still had an effect on Mike Lazansky. Small package and only a 2 count. David Putnam on top of things.
But I'll tell you, listen, Well, Lazinski is a great little athlete. He's been coming on, and coming on real great. Now you looked at a suplex now. Ordinary person, it would have stayed down, but here he goes. He's going to kick out. Just a great match.
Well, I tell you, any man that can survive a suplex like that has to have a lot of strength and fortitude, and Mike Lazinski shows that, Bob.
Well, listen, hey, they stood a lot of things, and this match has been going at a full space.
Fine body press, this could be it, only a 2 count. You talk about sudden death action. Oh, double clothesline.
Holy smokes, I don't know where these two guys get their energy from. This match has been going almost 13 and a half minutes, and they've been going at full blast, and they're still going.
You know what, Bob? These two guys are getting stronger as the match goes on, and you don't see that with the heavyweights too often, but these two young kids have a lot of spunk. And Mike Lazinski going off the top rope. Star doesn't know where he is. Lazinski taking off. Flying body press, 1, 2, 3. An impressive victory. You know what? It's too bad we had to have a winner in this one, Bulldog.
I'll tell you what, there was a winner. There was Lazinski, a flying cross-body block off the top rope, and it was just great.
The WFWA on tour Monday night, March the 23rd, 7:30 start time. Already signed 6-man elimination tag team for the Peguis Reserve at the Peguis Hall. Also signed 13-man battle royal, $1,000 to the winner, and the winner to meet new champion Champagne Jerry Morrow on an upcoming card. On Saturday, March the 28th, the stars of the WFWA visit the Pine Creek Inn, all part of Bar Wars 1992. On Saturday night, March the 28th, 9 o'clock start time, a return engagement, Grand Marais, Manitoba, at Mike Mercury's Bar. And on Friday, April the 3rd, 7 o'clock start time, the stars of the WFWA hit the Sinclair Park Community Club. Already signed Bulldog Bob Brown, The Natural, Bobby J, Chi Cruz, plus many other top stars, a 12-man battle royal. On Saturday, April the 4th, Rennie, Manitoba, the Rennie Hotel, 9 o'clock start time, all part of Bar Wars 1992. And don't forget, coming up in the month of April, already signed, the WFWA on tour in Killarney, Manitoba, Morton, Burton, Neepawa, as well. A big show coming to Dauphin, Steinbach, and the Long Plain Reserve. It's the WFWA on tour. Don't you dare miss all the great action. Ladies and gentlemen, a special treat in today's main event, an up-and-coming young tag team that's traveled through Mexico. They've also traveled through Japan, and they are making a name for themselves right here in Canada and only on the WFWA. Here's a look at Sudden Impact, Chris Jericho and Lance Storm in tag team action. Today's main event right here on the WFWA. We're off and running with some more rough and tumble wrestling action. Joel and Nick Bockwinkel at ringside. You are viewing us on the WFWA Wrestling Network from coast to coast and just south of the border. And Nick, our second look at Sudden Impact. Chris Jericho with the blonde hair and Lance Storm with the brush cut and tail, if you will.
Well, I've got to say that I saw them a week ago, and I was tremendously impressed. And I don't impress easy. I don't give out compliments easy. Not trying to be a snob, but I kind of figure you have to earn them, or earn it. And darn the heck, they've earned it from me in 1 week. I like it.
Oh, now a couple of leapfrogs, an arm drag, and another one for good measure. And you can see why Red Bastien Jr. is a little bit upset. Nick, what do you see in a tag team like Sudden Impact here, like a man like Lance Storm? He's not the tallest wrestler you'll ever see. He's put together, though. But these two men can fly. How would they compete against some of these worldwide tag teams that the fans are used to seeing on television?
Well, I'll be very honest. The only thing that I would worry about is almost a move that they tried to make that didn't come off. And that's about what I was about to say. What happens with a young team, they try to devise all these different and unique styles. and these very exciting and dynamic moves, and that's perfectly okay. But careful. Don't execute something that's going to hurt yourself, or don't execute something just because you think you've built a reputation that you have to do it.
Well, that move against someone like yourself could have cost them the match right then
Oh,
and there.
absolutely.
And maybe these two men are on fire quite a bit. Picking them up now. Red Bastien Jr. showing some power, but he's showing the attitude as well, and that might cost them dearly. Well, you're absolutely right. Very impressive tag team. Sure, they got a few things to learn in the world of wrestling. You never stop learning, or I guess that would be the day you hang up your boots.
Oh, well, I hung my boots up, and I still
Different
was,
reasons.
but I still was learning. You learn right to the last day that you're doing it. And I see moves today. You know, the thing that I'm seeing is one of the things that everybody today is very, very keen on. They want to do it faster. They want to do it bigger. They want to do it better than the predecessors have done. And there's nothing wrong with having that desire. We're watching this demonstration right now. But at the same time, careful. Don't let it get you in trouble.
Well, I'll tell you what, it isn't going to cost me anything, but I'm loving every second of this action here at ringside. Jericho and Storm. Sudden impact. Ladies and gentlemen, watch out when these two men visit your city or town on that big billing, because it'll be worth every cent to see these two men in action, whether singles or tag.
I've got to say, I'd like to see them in singles. That would be very interesting. But I will say that Jericho and Storm, Sudden Impact, are a very, very impressive team.
Well, that name speaks well for them. They are making an impact throughout the WFWA in all parts of the world, and Lance Storm's in there now. And he is working over a man that is named Pompero El Felipe. Wow!
Wow!
He almost decapitated him. And I'll tell you what.
What will we tell each other?
I was going to say, with a lid like that, he could have decapitated him.
Fantastic belly-to-belly suplex. The flying tackle, higher than I have ever seen it. If I've had only one thing I would want to say to Sudden Impact, I'd say, guys, back off only about 10%. The reason I say 10% is because in their desire to do it faster than anybody's ever possibly done it, it seems to be taking a slight edge off of them a little bit, but not enough that I guess I'd want to change anything.
Beautiful scientific maneuver there. And the fight up on the ropes for Pompero El Filippo here. This one is one strange cat. That hair, well, I mean, there's not much you can say about it, but it actually suits his style.
Any correlation or relationship to the Bull of the Pampas, Pompero Filippo?
Oh, I have no idea. They almost look similar anyway. I mean, that could have been, for all I know, his idol. I mean, you know, you take a look at Bruce Springsteen idolizing Bob Dylan. I get the same kind of impression here, the same kind of look almost. But this sudden impact is taking its toll on Pompero El Filippo and Red Bastien Jr. Here comes Storm, Irish whip. What's up? Clothesline this time. These two men can fly.
They sure can. And I'm tremendously impressed. I've kind of complained a little bit about saying that they're almost moving 10% faster than they need to. I'd rather see them being exactly on target, because they're almost on it every move that they make.
Well, as far as I'd be concerned, you've wrestled in tag team action. You faced many great tag teams, Gagne and Brunzell, to name one, even Lanza and Mulligan, two of the bigger men in wrestling at one time. Beautiful maneuver there. Helping him down with the slam.
Oh, wow!
I thought he would have had him. And like we were saying, how do these two compare this early in their career together to some of the great tag teams of all time? Maybe even Fuji and Tanaka. Take it back to one of the greatest Oriental teams of all time. I've never seen this before. Double